This is the first verse of chapter 12, Gospel of Matthew. We've had Jesus giving the great invitation, "Come to me, you who are weary and heavy laden, I'll give you rest," and so on. Matthew now indicates that the ensuing story is taking place in that general time frame. So we have "in," the preposition, with the dative, ekeno, from ekanos, demonstrative pronoun, in the dative singular, is in that particular time, used idiomatically with the definite article. So then at the, or that the, kairo, from kairos, means a time frame really, a season, a moment, and in some ways suggests that this is related to the comment that was made earlier, that people should come to him who were weary and heavy laden, and Matthew wants to focus in on the particular idea of the Sabbath and the burden that it had become by virtue of the imposition of the weightiness of the rules regarding the Sabbath that were imposed by the religious leaders. So in that time frame, in connection with the invitation of Jesus, then we have aporuthe. This is from peruomai, I go. Here Jesus went. This is the aorist, passive in form, active in meaning, deponent verb. So Jesus went, the subject of the verb, ho Jesus, went tois. This is the dative of a reference, really, the idea. This is the dative, plural, and it represents the connection to the Sabbath. So with respect to the Sabbath, Jesus went in connection with the Sabbath, almost as if to say it was a purposeful act. With respect to that, dia, preposition, takes the genitive here, tone, sporimon. Sporimon is from sporimos, which means something that has been sown. It's related to spero, which is the idea of sowing. So he went through a field that had been sown. It's sometimes translated in the old times the corn. That wasn't exactly the idea, but a wheat field probably, in which clearly there had been some effort put into creating this standing crop there, and that's the idea. So with respect to the Sabbath, he goes through this field. Hoi, this is the article, it's the nominative plural, masculine, hoi da mathetai, so but the disciples, autou, of him, epanesan. This is from painao, it means I am hungry. This is third person plural, aorist active indicative, so his disciples hungered would be the notion. Kai erxanto, this is from arkomai. Arko means to rule, arkomai, and the middle voice means to begin. So they began, telain. This is the present infinitive. Tilo means to pick, and so they're picking stakuos. This is from stakus. It's related to the verb histemi, which means to stand, and so it's the standing stalks, as it were, of some kind of crop. This is presumably either barley, which would be earlier, or grain, wheat, which would be later, and that seems more likely. So began to pick the standing grain, kai estheon, from estheo, I eat. This is also a present infinitive, so they began to pick and eat. And of course that's going to precipitate controversy with the religious leaders, and that's precisely what Jesus had in mind when it said he went with respect to the Sabbath. It's like not an accident, but this is an intentional act, and it precipitates a conflict, which is apparently exactly what Jesus had in mind.